Okay, so this is the latest version of the rig, Mark II, if you want to call it that. The main difference between this one and the earlier version, which is the Mark I, is the Mark I had rod date here as well. This one, it can be converted to the Mark I, so you can add rod date here. So if you look at the other video, so the Mark II can be converted to the Mark I. We're not going to sell the Mark I anymore, we're just going to sell the Mark II. So you don't have to worry about which one you want. I personally like both of them because the Mark II with the rods out here, if you look at the previous videos, allow you to add other cameras. But you can also add other cameras to this, so you can just put extra rods on. So if you look at the other video, you can see that. Or you can just put single rods on. I've used it now on quite a few weddings and I'm really happy with the results. There's some sample videos on and you can't tell, sometimes you can't tell whether it's shot on the tripod or it's shot on this. And the shots are very smooth as well, they're like almost like gimbal like. One of the things in the earlier video as well, which having done quite a few weddings which have changed my mind about how to use it, is before I was going to say if you want to use it as sort of kind of about midsection, so you get more like gimbal shots. Before I was saying you take these handles off and you put them on here, you've watched the other videos, but having used it on quite a few weddings, I think the best thing to do is not to leave the handles in the same place and just use it differently. And the reason for this is, say you got the bride and groom coming out, you've got to work around the registrar and the couple and stuff. You don't want to be sort of saying, oh wait 5 minutes, a few minutes while I get the handles swapped round and all this. Or if you say if you're using a gimbal, you've got to pick up your gimbal and do all that. So like on event photography especially, a lot of times you don't have that much time. You just got to be ready straight away, and especially if you work on your own. So a better way of using it for the type gimbal shots is simply just say bride and groom are coming out, so you're walking back. So basically all you got to do is just pick it up, put some, make sure it's weighted prior to doing this, so it's perfectly balanced, and then just find the balance point on the camera. So basically here's the balance point, and that way you can just carry it here and you can move it back and forward. Look at that, how perfectly balanced that is. So you can just use it like this. I mean, obviously I won't shoot a whole wedding like this. It's just to get a bit of variations in the shot basically. And then as soon as you sort of get them walking out and say you wanted to do it that rather than that shoulder height, you just put this back on and you're ready to sort of film the rest of it at this height. If this is the first time you've come across this rig, this is, say you're doing like the first dance or something, you can mount a light on here, or you can mount a action cam in because it's much wider, so you get extra shot, so it's like a safety shot. So you can just sort of extend it there, and you can put lights on rather than putting a light on the top, because your light might be used up by a microphone. Also as well, with a lot of cameras, if you put a light on here, it damages the hot shoe, and that's happened to me on a number of occasions. Put the light on and you put batteries on and it just damages it, and it's costing you hundreds of pounds to get repaired. So the price of this is, it's cheaper than the top brands like the Tilter and stuff, and it's cheaper than the gimbal. The benefit of this is you could shoot a whole wedding on it. What I tend to do, I tend to use tripod and this basically, so I use the two. And the big advantage is, I used to have a gimbal and I liked it, but sometimes when I was like doing a wedding on my own, I was like getting very nervous because I put the gimbal down and I'd have an expensive camera on, and then I'd have a camera on the tripod, and it was just stress. And then sometimes if I was using the same camera on the gimbal and the tripod, it was, as soon as I took it off the gimbal I had to reset it up. With this one you don't have that problem. You can take this off and then just put it on tripod. So if you're doing a wedding on your own, so you're just using one camera, you can just take this off, slide it on to your tripod, take it off, you already have it balanced, so it's just ready to go.